In the aftermath of the Battle of Kosovo in 1389, the Ottoman Empire faced a shocking and dramatic event that would reverberate across the region: the assassination of Sultan Murad I. The Sultan, who had personally led his army into battle and directed operations with decades of experience, was fatally wounded in an act of audacious courage and subterfuge. The attack, attributed to the Serbian noble Miloš Obilić, occurred either during the final phases of combat or immediately following the cessation of major fighting, and it marked a dramatic turning point in the conflict and the history of the Ottoman state. Sultan Murad I had established himself as one of the most formidable rulers of his era. His campaigns had transformed the Ottoman Principality into a powerful empire straddling both Anatolia and the Balkans. Known for his strategic acumen, personal discipline, and willingness to lead from the front, Murad had been instrumental in orchestrating the rapid expansion into Bulgaria and Serbia in the years preceding Kosovo. Yet, even with such careful preparation and the presence of a large, disciplined army, no amount of planning could have entirely prevented the threat posed by personal treachery in the chaos of the battlefield. The assassination unfolded against a backdrop of intense combat and widespread casualties. The Kosovo plain, strewn with the remnants of the day's battle, was marked by the sounds of clashing swords, the cries of wounded soldiers, and the sporadic volleys of arrows. Amid this chaos, Miloš Obilić, a trusted nobleman and warrior in Prince Lazar's Serbian contingent, is said to have infiltrated the Ottoman lines under the guise of submission or parley. The precise details of his approach vary among contemporary and later sources, but accounts consistently emphasize the audacity of the act and its profound impact on the Ottoman army. Obilić's actions required extraordinary courage. He entered the proximity of the Sultan, whose personal presence on the battlefield had been a source of morale for his troops. Murad, despite his advanced age, remained vigilant and engaged in supervising the deployment of forces and the organization of reserves. The moment of attack was brief but decisive. Obilić is reported to have struck Murad with a fatal blow, bypassing guards and the natural protection surrounding the Sultan. In some accounts, the attack occurred during a moment of consultation or a pause in the fighting, taking advantage of the transitional period when both armies were reorganizing or assessing losses. The immediate consequences of Murad's death were profound. For the Ottoman soldiers who witnessed the Sultan's fall, the news was a shock. The army, although disciplined and numerically superior, now faced the psychological challenge of losing its commanding leader in the midst of an intense and unresolved engagement. Officers and subordinates quickly rallied to maintain cohesion, aware that disorder or panic could jeopardize the hard-won advantages gained over the course of the battle. Command structures were adapted on the fly, with Murad's son Bayezid assuming leadership in the field. Bayezid, already renowned for his decisiveness and boldness, took control of the army and worked to stabilize morale while continuing military operations. From the perspective of the Serbian forces, the assassination was a remarkable act of tactical daring and personal valor. Miloš Obilić became a celebrated figure in Serbian chronicles, lauded for his ability to infiltrate the enemy camp and strike at the heart of Ottoman command. The attack was emblematic of the high stakes and intensity of the confrontation, in which courage, skill, and opportunity could decisively influence the course of events. While the Serbian army had endured heavy casualties, the elimination of Murad represented both a symbolic and strategic achievement. Strategically, the death of Sultan Murad I did not result in the immediate collapse of Ottoman power. The Ottoman army, under the leadership of Bayezid, retained cohesion and discipline, allowing it to regroup and maintain operational control. Bayezid's swift assumption of command demonstrated the resilience and institutional strength of the Ottoman state. The succession was immediate, underscoring the preparation for continuity of leadership within the Ottoman dynasty and ensuring that the death of the Sultan, while significant, did not halt the broader trajectory of expansion in the Balkans. The assassination also had far-reaching political and historical implications. Murad's death transformed the narrative of the Kosovo campaign from a military engagement into a moment of dramatic legend. It emphasized both the vulnerability of even the most powerful leaders and the audacity of individual actors in the context of medieval warfare. Chronicles and later histories immortalized the episode, framing it as a turning point in which the courage of a single nobleman intersected with the fate of an empire. For the Ottoman Empire, Murad's death necessitated immediate consolidation of authority and reaffirmation of military discipline. Bayezid, later known as Bayezid I, inherited not only the command of the army, but also the responsibilities of governing an empire stretched across two continents. His leadership style, marked by decisiveness and authoritarian control, contrasted with Murad's measured strategic approach, signaling a new phase in Ottoman administration and military engagement. The transition highlighted the importance of dynastic continuity and preparedness in the context of medieval imperial structures. The incident also influenced perceptions across the Balkans and Europe. Christian states and leaders recognized both the temporary advantage offered by Murad's assassination and the enduring strength of the Ottoman state. The act, while heroic in the eyes of some, did not translate into a lasting strategic defeat for the Ottomans. Instead, it demonstrated the high stakes and personal risks inherent in conflicts between expanding empires and regional coalitions. The balance of power remained contested, with both sides having suffered significant losses in the battle itself. Culturally and historically, the assassination of Sultan Murad I became emblematic of the drama and intensity of medieval warfare. Serbian accounts celebrated Miloš Obilić's courage and dedication to his sovereign, Prince Lazar, while Ottoman chronicles emphasized the continuity of leadership and the empire's capacity to endure even the loss of a commanding sultan. The event was commemorated in oral traditions, epic poetry, and later historiography, reinforcing its significance beyond the immediate military context. In terms of military consequences, the elimination of Murad temporarily shifted the dynamic of the battlefield. The Ottoman army, though initially shocked, was able to execute counterattacks and maintain defensive positions under Bayezid's command. The Serbian forces, while gaining a symbolic victory through the assassination, were also exhausted and had suffered substantial casualties. The confrontation ultimately demonstrated that battlefield heroics, while impactful, could not alone dictate the outcome of larger strategic engagements without sustained organizational capacity. The assassination also underscored the personal dimension of medieval leadership. Sultan Murad's choice to lead from the front, despite his age and experience, exposed him to risks that few rulers of his stature would willingly accept. His presence on the battlefield inspired troops and facilitated rapid decision-making, but it also created vulnerability that Miloš Obilić was able to exploit. This juxtaposition of leadership and exposure highlights the delicate balance between authority, morale, and personal safety in pre-modern warfare. In conclusion, the assassination of Sultan Murad thus, during or shortly after the Battle of Kosovo in 1389, represented a dramatic turning point in both the conflict and the history of the Ottoman Empire. The audacity of Miloš Obilić, the courage of the Serbian forces, and the rapid adaptation of Bayezid I collectively shaped the immediate outcome of the battlefield and the broader trajectory of Ottoman expansion. While Murad's death was a moment of shock and loss, the empire's institutional strength and disciplined army ensured continuity of leadership, enabling the Ottomans to recover, consolidate, and continue their dominance in the Balkans. The episode endures in historical memory as a symbol of bravery, tragedy, and the enduring interplay between individual action and imperial destiny.